Wayfarer, and I'm here with Braden Reardon. I'm wielding this knife because today we're shucking oysters.
Yeah.
So what do you need to get started shucking an oyster?
Shucking oysters is really, really basic. You just need a good shucking knife and a towel, and that's it.
And then what about the different types of oysters? You know, what type of oysters should you buy if you're going to be shucking them at home?
I think it's really relative to experience.
Let's
so
pretend
we're going to go be beginner friendly.
Right.
So the things you kind of want to really look for is going to be just right up here at the tip. You actually have a good spot to be able to get the knife into that groove very easily.
So bigger the better?
Yep, bigger the better is going to be easier for it. It's pretty easy once you get the rhythm. You just got to watch and be careful that you don't get your hand at the same time.
You mean I should not stab myself today?
You should not stab yourself today. So
good. So where do we begin in shucking our oysters? We like pick out a good one and just go for it?
So you want to kind of actually ask that retailer for that tag to be able to know that they're nice and fresh. The other thing obviously is you always want to make sure the animal's closed. If it's open, it's dead.
Yeah.
So you don't want to eat it, obviously.
Let's get started.
Great. So with regards to the East Coast, West Coast, we have two different types of species. So one is Virginica, that is the East Coast, and then we have the Giga, which is the West Coast.
Okay.
There are countless amounts of varietals. There's different harvesting techniques that go into this. The East Coast are usually really indicative of a nice smooth shell on the bottom, whereas the West Coast is going to have a lot of this rigidity right here that you see. So we've got a cushy here. So these are one of the high-end oysters. You can see it looks very much like an East Coast oyster,
Right.
but it's actually a West Coast.
But it looks like it has a great groove for shucking.
It sure does look like it's perfect.
So I mean, you know.
So we'll start with those.
Okay.
So these are actually some of my favorite. They're probably some of the more complex of all the oysters.
Okay.
So what we want to do here is we're going to fold your towel over 2 times.
Okay.
This is going to be able to obviously give you a little bit of protection while you're doing it.
Right.
Recommend putting the oyster up in the front.
Okay.
Okay. And then we're going to just fold the towel over like this.
Okay.
I'm pushing down on the backside to lean it up.
Got it. So it's
that
at like
when
an angle.
when I'm pushing in, I'm not going to go into my hand. I'm going to go into the towel or the counter, right?
I certainly hope that's
Turn your knife. Yeah, you got it the right way.
Okay.
Okay, you're going to stick this in there.
Okay.
Okay, you're just going to put a little bit of pressure. It should be able to hang out. Okay, you should be able to get in there so it just goes like that.
Nope,
So,
mine can't hang out.
Okay. So now you're going to apply just a little bit of pressure. You don't really want to because you'll drive through and you'll damage the meat.
Right.
And you could possibly puncture your hand.
Right.
So when you get in there, just applying a little bit of pressure and turn it like you're turning the key to a car.
Okay. See, like I have pieces coming off.
That's okay if you have pieces coming off.
Okay.
You just want to try not to puncture the bottom, break up the bottom shell.
Got it. So it should really be stuck in there. Okay.
Yep,
Oh,
so now you go like that. And now when you turn on a car,
I'm surprised.
you turn on a car, right? You go like this.
Yeah.
So you do that same motion with the knife.
Oh.
Now once you get it like this,
Yeah.
okay, you can pick it up in your hand right here. You want to make sure you're cleaving the meat off the top shell. So you're going to go in, pressure towards the top, then you're left with your oyster like this.
We did it.
Yeah.
I didn't cut myself.
You didn't, not yet. We got a lot more to go.
All right.
We have one last thing to do here.
Okay.
We've got a little, they call it an inductor muscle, which lives right here on this backside. Going to go in, sever that right off.
Oh, see again, we could still cut ourselves.
We could still
here,
cut ourselves
so.
and we could still damage that meat. So you want to leave the meat nice and whole and you're ready to enjoy it.
All right, well, let's eat it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Did it on our own. What about some of the gnarlier looking ones?
Let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Which one you want to try? Want to go for West Coast?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do that. So you can see here when we're examining it, right? You always tell this is the bottom. It's the deeper cup. The flatter one is the top part of the carapace. Put a little bit of pressure in there. Turn and dig.
Takes me slightly longer than it takes you. So if you're slow like me, is that okay? Like better to be slow than try to go too fast?
I'd rather have you be slow than try and force it and stick yourself.
Let's see how many you can get while I'm working on this one.
No problem.
Okay, so you did 6 to my 1.
No.
But still proving a beginner can do it, just very, very slowly.
Absolutely. Take your time with it. That's the best part to do it.
Well, thank you so much for teaching how to properly shuck an oyster, even for the slowpokes like me. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.